This is Willis Trueblood Jr., and this is his sentencing hearing. Today, he will find out whether his gamble paid off. Willis is the young man who ran over and killed a Florida State University student, Ellie Sims. However, he was not charged with causing Ellie's death, even though he was speeding and struck her while she was actively crossing in a designated pedestrian crosswalk with the flashing lights activated. Instead, he was charged with leaving the scene of a fatal accident. Last month, in January of this year, Willis entered what is known as an open plea. This means that he admitted to the charge without a negotiated deal and basically left the sentencing decision entirely up to the court. We have covered this case extensively here on Deep Dive True Crime, including the body camera footage from the scene, and we also have Willis Trueblood's interrogation video. Judge J. Lee Marsh will decide the sentence. He will hear from the state, from the victim's family through impact statements, and from the defense, including possibly statements of support for Willis and other mitigating evidence. The state previously offered a plea deal that included a sentencing range, a minimum and a maximum sentence the court would impose under that agreement, but Willis rejected that offer. Instead, even though the sentencing guidelines recommended a minimum sentence that is higher than the maximum sentence he could have received under that rejected deal, Willis is taking a gamble. His attorney, public defender Jessica Yuri, will attempt to present enough mitigating evidence to persuade the court to impose a sentence below the recommended minimum under the guidelines. The defense will likely focus on his age at the time of the offense. He was very young, and they will also focus on his fear after realizing he had run over and likely killed Ellie. They may argue that he had believed others had witnessed the crash and would have called for help. They will also likely present additional evidence in support of a downward departure from the sentencing guidelines. Some of the factors the court may be asked to consider include a legitimate, uncoerced acceptance of responsibility, cooperation with the state, whether the offense was unsophisticated or isolated, and whether the defendant has shown remorse. Whether the defendant was too young to fully appreciate the consequences of his actions. Here we go.
All right. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge J. Lee Marsh presiding.
Everyone may be seated. All right, good afternoon. We're here today in Leon County case 2024 CF 1235, State versus Trueblood. We're here for final disposition in this matter and sentencing. Our previous session in court, the defendant had entered a plea of no contest as to the information. The court accepted that and set this matter off for sentencing. Before we begin, my understanding, I just want to make sure we're clear. I believe the defendant waived a pre-sentence investigative report.
Yes, sir.
And also, I note between when we last met on the plea and today, I've received a new criminal punishment code score sheet that reflects a lowest permissible sentence. And we'll talk about that more later. The parties will have words to say about that. Of 129.45 months. The court will note that that is lower than it was at the time of the acceptance of the plea, and this would correspond to offense level 8. The previous erroneously listed offense level 9. This is offense level 8. It's a 7 by statute, plus as a vulnerable road user, it makes it adds 1 level, making it a level 8 offense. Any other matters in house, or I should say defense, any objection? Again, this knows the benefit of the defendant from where it was last time. Any objections?
Okay.
All right. Any other preliminary matters we need to discuss?
Judge, do we have Joseph and Susan Ivor?
I don't have anybody in my Zoom waiting room yet. It's been on since I came in a little early. It's been on since about 1:12.
All right.
But and what are those names again? And I'll make sure I let them in as soon as if I see them.
Joseph and Susan Ivor.
All right, so when if I see them come up, I'll let them in. For everyone else, obviously we got a packed house. One thing I'm gonna ask everybody now, we are in the digital age. Please take your cell phones, silence them, turn them off. I don't want them going off in the middle. I'm gonna check mine right now and make sure that it's in silent. We are in a digital age, but we don't want to disturb the proceedings here today. I also realize this is a very emotional case. If emotions are getting the better of you, feel free to get up and leave the courtroom for a moment, compose yourself before coming back in. I don't want to have to ask anyone to leave because you're here to support families, friends, loved ones, and we want to have you here in the courtroom to do those very things. But you're also humans, and if emotion is going to take the better of you, feel free to go outside into the hallway and compose yourself. I don't want any outbursts today. With that, the way we proceed is the state will go first with any victim impact witness evidence it wants to present. Then the defense will go next with any type of mitigation, extenuation, any accusation by the defendant. The argument will then go to the state. The state will put on its argument for sentencing. And then the defendant in this court gets the last word before the court will decide the appropriate sentence in this case. So without further ado, state, you may proceed.
Yes, sir. The state has 3 exhibits. I understand. I've just learned that there's going to be an objection to one of them, but I'd like to do victim impact first. And while we present victim impact, it's the wish of the state to first present a short clip of the victim just speaking, and then to publish a slideshow along with the presentation of victim impact testimony. Both of those, the slideshow and the short clip of the victim are on state's exhibit B. So at this time, I'd ask to introduce B.
Defense, there was no objection against that. No objection.
As our audio was fixed, unplug and ask for approach to present this to your honor.
I do know they were really trying to.
Yeah, they're working with it over the break.
You want to click there?
Yes.
Sure, if you want to be there.
I'm coming up in my from this oh my god. I'm seeing it right now. Oh my god, stop. I'm here. This is so funny. Anyway, what did you say you guys did? I miss you guys a lot, and it's one of birthday today, so we're gonna go to dinner, and then we're probably just going to bed, or do something at the hotel, because there's nothing to do here. I think go to dinner. But yeah, so pretty here, and you guys are going outside, so like so. I know this is probably the one that you guys are having, but okay, I have to tell you.
Kristen Sims will be our
Good afternoon, Your Honor. My name is Kristen Sims, and I am Ellie Sims' mother. I've heard it said that once you become a mother, your heart is permanently on the outside of your body, which is very, very true. Anybody that's a mother will be able to testify to that when you walk around with your heart on the outside. Every sneeze, every cough, every tear that your child has, you feel it too. You feel their pain, their happiness, their sorrow, their joy, their love. You feel when they're frightened. The first time you hold your child, you become their protector. You feel that way as long as you're a parent, and even after. My heart was on the outside of my body on April 29th, 2024, when I was discussing with my son what I was gonna make for dinner tonight. And looking back, it seems like such a meaningless and stupid thing to be worried about. How would I have been able to focus on something so trivial when my daughter was laying in the street and it took a policeman to come by and talk to me for 30 minutes to try to convince me that it was actually Ellie that he was talking about. I kept shaking my head in denial and saying, no. I kept saying, are you sure? Are you sure she's just not in the hospital with a broken leg? I just didn't picture anyone actually getting killed by a car on a college campus. I couldn't breathe. And I honestly believe that I died that day too. I'm not the same person I am or I was then. I'm different. You can't lose your child without dying yourself. I live in just fear of everything. Fear. Yeah, I get very anxious when the doorbell rings. I just think that it's police coming again. Everything changed. Ellie was 20 years old when she was hit and killed. She had so much life ahead of her. She had so many hopes and dreams. And I know that sounds very much like every young person, but she was so awesome. I just wish the court could know her. She was super smart. She got a 34 on her ACT. She was going places. She was good. She was a good girl. She cared about other people. When I went to visit her, and when the weekend before I was at the campus for the spring parents weekend, and she said, "Mom, we have to go to this little Korean restaurant, this poke place." And I said, "Oh, why?" And she said, "Because I always see the man standing outside, and he works so hard. He's always outside sweeping and cleaning, and she's like, I never see anybody in that store. We have to go by, and we have to buy something in there." Like, she respected hard work. She respected rolling up your sleeves and doing what needed to be done. I was so proud of her. Her father and I used to always talk about how much, like, we just couldn't wait to see what she was going to become, what she was going to do in this world. I just knew she was going to be something special, something just extraordinary. um, I'm trying to see. Ellie knew who she was. She was a strong young woman, and she didn't deserve to die on the side of the road alone. She deserved kindness and sympathy and concern. She deserved more from the person who had killed her. She deserved more from Mr. Trueblood. She was working to make herself and the place and her community a better place. She was concerned about others and she cared about the future. She volunteered at her school's health department, teaching good sexual practices to other groups, other young people in the community and at the university. Many days I feel like it would just be easier just not to be here. The pain would be gone. Every day it's so painful. But I move forward because I can't let Ellie's legacy die. I'm obsessed with it. I just want everyone to remember her and love her. Your Honor, the entire student body, parents, employees of Florida State University are watching. They're watching today to see what will happen in this case and how Mr. Trueblood will be held responsible for his negligent actions. They're watching to see what will happen and if the state of Florida will protect them and to show them that the callousness and careless act of driving away when someone is on the road, obviously in need, is they're watching to see what sentence will be handed down. Think about all the 18 and 19 and 20-year-olds that were there at the site who did render aid, who rushed to Ellie's aid. They did call 911. They did the right thing. They did look at her for signs of life. Mr. Trueblood saw my daughter's lifeless body on the ground, looked up, said, "Oh, S-H-I-T," and drove away. There are many witnesses that say that and that were heard, and I am personally appalled by that action. There's no way that he didn't realize what he had done because he was looking at her blood and hair through his windshield. Following the accident, he did post on Instagram, and I quote, "Don't text my phone, but at jumpboy.polo if you need some." I believe personally that he's talking about drugs. I'm also appalled when I watch Mr. Trueblood's interrogation with the detective the night of the hit and run. During the recording, the questioning, never ever did I hear him ask about the victim, her family. He never expressed remorse for hitting her. He seemed tired. He seemed not bothered, but he seemed like, it was very one-word answers, not getting into a lot of description when the detective was asking him questions. That, I feel, really speaks volume to his remorse following the accident. I respectfully ask, Your Honor, that you do not deter from the minimum sentence of 10 years. The minimum has been put in place by the state of Florida. the state of Florida state legislature. And I firmly believe that when you begin driving, you acknowledge the rules of the road. And you have to sign a paper stating as much. You know that you have to stop. You have to stop and render aid to anyone that you hit with your car. Those are the rules of the road. And you accept those when you accept the license of the state of Florida. In closing, I know that the defense will probably ask you for mercy. I ask you, where was the mercy when Ellie was hit? Where was the mercy shown to my daughter, laying on the ground, with her whole life ahead of her? Our lives are permanently changed. Mr. Trueblood killed many more than just one person that day. Our Ellie is forever gone, and we're left to carry on as a family. Many friends that are here today who loved her. We'll never see her smiling face again. We'll never hear her talk about food again. She was such a foodie and she loved to travel. Basic human dignity, basic human decency to stop and render aid. We would do it for anyone. Anyone in this courtroom would stop and do it. And the fact that Mr. Trueblood did not, I think, speaks volumes. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your consideration and allowing me to speak.
My name is Anna Sims. I'm the older sister of Elizabeth Ellie Sims. And this is my younger brother, Ian, who was also Ellie's younger brother. As I already mentioned, I'm here today as the older sister of Elizabeth Sims Ellie, who was 20 years old when her life was taken from her. On the evening of April 29, 2024, my sister was struck and killed in a crosswalk at West Pensacola and Lorene Street while walking home from the library where she had been studying for finals. She died on impact. I am here today because she cannot be. Ellie was loud, and I say that with every ounce of love that I have. She was so full of life that when she spoke, you stopped what you were doing and listened. She did not whisper her way through the world. She took up space in it, joyfully, boldly, unapologetically. Every room she left felt quieter for her absence. She made people around her better simply by being in their lives, by holding them to a higher standard, by refusing to let people she loved be anything less than their best selves. Every week, we called each other just to talk about our lives, what we were worried about, what we were excited about, who we were becoming. Those calls were one of the great constants of my life. I still reach for my phone on some days. For a split second, my body forgets, and then I remember. Ellie did everything right. She pressed the walk button. She waited. The pedestrian lights were flashing. She was not on her phone. She was not running. She was not intoxicated. She was exactly where she was supposed to be. And Willis Trueblood Jr. was driving fast enough to kill her. Saw other cars stop, went around them, struck my sister in that crosswalk and drove away. Witnesses saw him stop. They saw him see her on the ground, and they watched him speed away. He knew what he had done, and he left her there anyways. The defense may paint him as a scared teenager who panicked, but I ask this court to consider what he actually did. When he was arrested, when he was interrogated, he did not ask about Ellie, not once. He never asked if she was okay. He never asked who she was. That silence speaks louder to me than any apology offered now. As my mom mentioned, the day following my sister's death, Mr. Trueblood posted to Instagram, "Hit up my friend if you need," directing his customers to another dealer for drugs. That is what was on his mind. He was not worried about Ellie. He wasn't even thinking about her. I'm sorry. Some of my favorite moments with Ellie were the simplest ones. Lying in my bed at night, laughing, talking about whatever comes to mind. We would get so loud that our mom would come downstairs in her robe and tell us to be quiet. We would wait until we heard footsteps go back upstairs, and then we would start laughing again. I would do anything to be told to be quiet one more time. I have lost my sister. I have lost my maid of honor. I dread my own wedding day because she will not be standing beside me. There is a place that she should be, and she is not. I have lost those weekly calls. I have lost the person that I reached for when things got hard. I have also lost the version of myself, and I am not sure that I will ever get her back. I have nightmares. Her face comes to me throughout the day. Images I cannot describe to this room. Thoughts I cannot turn off no matter how hard I try. I am depressed in a way I did not know was possible until April 29th. Not sad, but depressed. There is a difference. There are days when getting out of bed feels impossibly heavy. There are nights when I replay that crosswalk in my mind and I cannot make it stop. Simple things terrify me now. Crosswalks, intersections, watching someone I love walk back to their car at night. The world simply does not feel safe anymore because I know in a way that I cannot unknow that doing everything right is not always enough to protect you. Ellie was also deeply protective of our younger brother Ian. She was actively shaping him to the man that she knew he could be, and that was taken from him. And the weight of being his family when our parents passed now falls on me alone. I always believed Ellie and I would carry it together, and that future no longer exists. And I grieve it every day alongside everything else. There is a hole in my life where she used to be, and it has no bottom. It is something that will not heal. It is something that I will spend the rest of my life learning to carry. And I need the court to understand that I should not have to carry it at all. I asked the judge, to impose a sentence that reflects the true weight of what was taken. The law allows for a minimum of 10 years, and I'm asking you, Your Honor, to impose at least that and not depart from the minimum. Not because any sentence will feel like justice, nothing will, but because Ellie pressed the walk button and waited and did everything right, and he drove away and never once asked her name. He knew right from wrong, he made his choices, my sister made hers, and only one of them is still here to face the consequences. She is not coming back. I will stand at the altar without her. I will grow old without her. Every milestone, every ordinary Sunday, every hard day, she will not be there. That is what I'm asking this court to reckon with today. Not an accident. A 20-year-old girl who was everything to us, gone, and a family that will never be the same. Respectfully submitted, innocence. I'm also going to read a statement that my younger brother Ian wrote. So this is in his words. I'm just going to read it. When I woke up on the day of Ellie's passing, I was happy. I laid out my outfit the day before, and I wore my signed Derrick Henry jersey. And I left home happy because I got to leave school early to go to the doctor for a checkup. When I came home, I was doing my homework when I heard a ring at the doorbell. I rushed downstairs to check, and I saw 2 policemen standing there, and I thought, oh, Anna's got another speeding ticket or something. And I told my mom, who was sleeping on the couch, to come talk with them. One of the policemen came inside to talk to my mom, and one came outside to talk to me for a minute. He asked me questions. But by the time I knew something was off, because this has never happened to me before. He took me inside and I saw my mom crying at the dining table, yelling and sobbing. Me and Ellie's dead. I came to sit down next to her, emotionless, no idea what to do or think. I was so lost. My whole family came home the night of and decided for them to go to Tallahassee for me to stay at the house with my grandmother. When I went to bed, I could not stop thinking about what had just happened. Not even 4 hours ago, I was doing work, not a problem in the world, and now I had just lost everything to me. I lay there in bed thinking, why God? Why my family? Why my family out of all of the other families out there? I thought of all the times I had saw on TV about someone dying or passing away and think that that would never happen to my family. We are safe and rule following, but nevertheless, I laid there to be the one that it happened to. During the week I was out, I can't even count the number of people texting, calling me, saying how sorry they were, and telling me stories of somebody's older brother who knew Ellie and how amazing and charming she was. After a week, my family came home, I came back to school. I was scared because this has never happened to anyone I've known or me. I didn't feel ready for people to ask me about her. Ever since it happened, my family is reminded how lucky we were to have her as a sister and as a daughter. Personally, in my opinion, I do not think the minimum is enough for the amount of damage emotionally that my family has gone through. I don't think that my family or me is ever going to lose the image of her or loving her.
One more victim impact judge, John Sims.
John Sims. I know it's that. Sitting down to write this, I felt the weight of an impossible task. Conveying the personal and societal impact of my daughter, Elizabeth Sims, Ellie, was killed by Willis Trueblood Jr. Losing a child is beyond measure. It's a wound that will never heal. It's impossible to understand. I learned what it meant to wail, to cry for my soul, mourning from every fiber of my being. That Ellie was killed by Willis Trueblood Jr. Nothing I can say can even measure the wound of Ellie's. Nor accurately describe the brilliance of a multifaceted person. She simply was awesome. Parents only know the portion of their children's lives which they lived with us, and we know very little about their lives elsewhere. First of many blessings from God was a glimpse into how Ellie lived elsewhere. Ellie was a positive force. Ellie stepped in. Ellie impacted lives correctly and influenced those in her orbit, and all in ways we never knew until she was killed by Willis Trueblood Jr. It is impossible to measure the loss of Ellie's ripple effect on society. Shortly after Ellie's birth, she was admitted to the hospital and placed in the NICU. I remember holding her little hand while and weeping uncontrollably, while the nurses started an IV. At that moment, I begged God not to take her from us. Please, Lord, not Ellie. Not now. She hasn't had a chance to live. At the time, Chris and I were close to our Lord. But losing Ellie then would have destroyed our family and sent me onto a path of self-destruction. There, but by the grace of God, Ellie's death is devastating. It caused me to question long term. What is the point when a random act of inattention can cost the life of someone with such potential? What is the point? Why Ellie? Why would God allow her to suffer the senseless death crossing the street? There are no answers to these questions, at least not on this side of the veil. It's only by the grace of God we survived Ellie being killed by Willis Trueblood. Through his grace, so many people, from her Alpha sisters, to her friends, to the Florida State community, students, parents, alumni, and administrators. And of course, our friends and our family. So many people poured love into us, and prayed for us. Early on, and throughout Ellie's life, she exhibited understanding, knowledge, courage, strength, and determination, far beyond her years. I cannot count the number of times I wished I had been more like Ellie at that time in my life. I literally stood in awe. She took the meager gifts I contributed and made them into something far greater. No parent could ever ask for more. I would not have been surprised to see Ellie become president of the United States. I routinely told friends I could see her becoming CEO. Ellie had it. Whatever it is, she had it. People wanted to be in her orbit. They wanted to be a part of whatever she was doing. Around the time of Ellie's death, one of our last conversations, she told me of her growing love for economics, and that she could see herself becoming a professor, teaching economics while continuing to be an entrepreneur. She started 2 businesses in high school. Ellie had the ambition to achieve whatever she dreamt and the desire to help others, especially women and the underserved, to define and realize their own dreams. I cannot tell you what impact Ellie would have had on this world. I can tell you with certainty, Ellie was going to live her life her way and with a flair like no other, authentically and unapologetically. I respectfully ask the court to issue a sentence strictly following the guidelines without prejudice, age, or other factors. To reduce the sentence below the statutory minimum of 10 years. For leaving the scene of a crime, resulting in death of another vulnerable, I keep getting it wrong, vulnerable pedestrian. Vulnerable There it is. There it is. The request is sent for the selfish cowardly act of failing to render aid, knowing the automobile he, Willis Trueblood Jr., was driving had struck a pedestrian. We know he, Willis Trueblood Jr., we knew he had this knowledge because Willis Trueblood Jr. looked through the windshield, shattered by my daughter's body the entire time he drove away. And fled, consequence of his action. I was an idiot. I made lots of mistakes. I could not look through that windshield, not turn around at some point. Additionally, it is my belief that Willis Trueblood Jr. and society at large are better served by Willis earning the right to parole, to earn a reduction in time served, as opposed to Willis being given a reduction in sentence. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to admit Space Exhibit A. A is a disc that contains short clips from witnesses that were at the scene.
Objection states A right. The objection states A. Without objection.
This has sound, so I'm going to ask for closure.
That guy is sitting like right over there with my dog and flew in the air, hit boom. I heard the hit. I heard the hit, so I instantly turned my head and I saw it flying through the air and I started hitting the ground like boom, like one of the first thing right there. Like right down the ground for something that she rolled and then I saw it, I heard it with the car and like trying to evaluate what actually happened. And then the car slowed down and goes, oh shit, and then sped off, the sky, man. I didn't like process that, you know what I mean? But I heard it was a man for sure. Oh, I mean, I heard it hit. I didn't see it collision, but I heard it, turned my head, saw her flying through the air, car going right where that man is, because I live right there. Right, well, so I'm facing this way, and I heard it. I'm not like this. I'm leaning against the pole. I just turn my head like faintly, because I hear the noise. Her in the air and the car driving, and then I got up, I stood up, and then the car, and by the time the car was like right kind of in front of my apartment, I yelled, oh shit. They all stopped, everybody stopped. So that was the only one that came through? In the moment that I saw there might have been cars ahead of him that didn't see like they went towards turning the crosswalk. Sure. But the other cars behind her stopped, everybody stopped, like everybody just go stop there. Is anybody else on the scene that you know was still here when it happened? No, nobody. I mean, that guy that walked in there, he was in like car area, but he saw me run out here. I think he came out. Okay. But once he got out here, like the second we all heard the guy, I don't know where he went. He was sitting right here, like a little heavier set, white guy. He was right here, and he was calling the police too, right when I was calling the police. Okay. Do you mind hanging out for this? No, I'm fine. I'll be here. Our traffic units get probably want to talk to you. So we may be able to put some pictures of records in the cars. If you see like some like right there, I'll know what phone. I'm in the camera footage, but I'm in the sidewalk when it drove by me. I like look back to see it, and then but I obviously was more focused on this. Yeah, if you don't mind just hanging out. We just say no.
Clip 2.
Yes, ma'am. What did you?
This is my gosh, so she clicked the button, and I'm the one that spoke up for her.
Okay.
Why I said at the time that it was, because that lane, like that part's the one I heard, but I remember that when I stopped, I was the only one up here, because she hit the button, I stopped, and she was going to move. And so she took a stop, so that car was moving, okay, all the way down there, and it came back really fast. So I'm just thinking maybe there's like a traffic camera, like a block down, that would fit like that description of that car was speeding back to the top of it.
Which officer did you talk to? You remember? What it looks like?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And what was your name? Taylor Woods? Okay. Alright, I'll let him know and you'll add it to his little schedule. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yep, you're gonna go. I'll hold the tape up for you.
Lastly, Judge, I am seeking evidence states exhibit C. This is the sworn witness statement indicating that this family member of the victim observed within 24 hours of this crime the post that was referenced by the family members regarding Mr. Trueblood indicating on April 30th for 12:28 p.m. Don't text my phone, but at johnboy.polo if you need some. Would seek to admit that at this time.
The defense is going to object to the admission of that piece of evidence. The obvious insinuation is that there's some sort of alleged illegal activity, whether that be possession of drugs or selling of drugs, and that's improper for the court at sentencing. Uncharged, not before this court for consideration at sentencing. Uncharged crimes and illegal crimes that are not charged in the information are improper for the court to consider at sentencing.
Great response.
Judge, I think you can consider it for purposes of remorse without considering the implication of other illegal conduct.
Judge, while the picture was provided, the affidavit that's attached to it, I have not seen other than when we walked in here this afternoon. There's an authentication issue to that too, Judge. There's no evidence that this was actually his Instagram account.
I don't know what I'm considering, so if you would approach the same seat.
Next, I'd like to admit State's Exhibit A. A is a list that contains court clips from witnesses that were at the scene.
Objection states A writing. The objection states A. Without objection.
I sound, so I'm going to ask to approach.
Very
It was definitely the thing, the crosswalk. I heard that guy is sitting like right over there with my dog and flew in the air, hit, I heard it hit. I heard the hit, so I instantly turned my head and I saw it flying through the air and I saw it hit the ground like, oh, like one of the first thing I did. So they think it's she rolled I saw it flying through the car and like turned the dive of what actually happened. And then the car slowed down, it goes, oh shit, and then sped off, the guy ran. I didn't process that, you know what I mean? I heard it was a man for sure. I heard it hit. I didn't see it collision, but I heard it, turned my head, saw her flying the other car right where that man is. Because I live right there. Right, no, so I'm facing this way, and I heard it. I'm not like this. I'm leaning against the pole. I just turn my head like faintly, and I hear the noise. Her in the air, and the car driving. And then I got up, I stood up, and the car, and by the time the car was like right kind of in front of my apartment, I yelled, oh shit. They all stopped. Everybody stopped. In the moment that I saw it, it might have been towards the head. I didn't see like the big force turning the crosswalk. Sure. But the other cars behind her stopped. Everybody stopped. Like everybody just stopped there. Yeah. Is anybody else still here? No, nobody. I mean, that guy that walked in there, he was in like car area, but he saw me run out here. I think he came out. Okay. Let's keep it up here. Just like we all did. I don't know where he went. He's right here. Like a little heavier set. Fight died. He was right here, and he was calling the police too, right when I was calling the police. Do you mind hanging out for this? No, I'm fine. No, if you see like some like right there, I'll go with them. I'm in the camera footage, but I'm inside when it drove by. I like looked back to see it, and then I obviously was more focused on the extra.
Yeah, if you don't mind just hanging out. We just say hello.
Listening to clip 2.
Yes, ma'am. What
She stop believing like that first one but I remember that when I stopped I was the only one up here because she had a button I thought she would leave. And so she took a stop. So that time was even all the way down there until they came out really fast. So I'm just thinking like I shot the camera and walked down that way that description of that conversation that could happen.
which officer did you talk to? You remember? What it looks like? Okay. Okay. And what was her name? Taylor Woods? Okay. Alright, I'll let him know your attitude. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yep, you're gonna go. I'll hold the table.
So Judge, I have seen evidence based exhibit C. This is the sworn witness statement indicating that this family member of the victim observed within 24 hours of this crime the post that was referenced by the family members regarding Mr. Trueblood indicating on April 30th or 12:28 p.m. Don't text my phone, but at johnboy.polo if you need stuff. Would seek to admit that at this time.
And the defense is going to object to admission of that piece of evidence. The obvious insinuation is that there is some sort of alleged illegal activity, whether it's possession of drugs or selling of drugs, and that's improper before that sentencing. Uncharged, not before this court for consideration at sentencing, uncharged crimes and illegal crimes that are not charged with information are proper for the court to consider it.
Judge, I think you can consider it for purposes of remorse without considering the implications of other illegal conduct.
While the picture was provided, the affidavit that's attached to it, I have not seen other than when we walked in here this afternoon. There's an authentication issue to that too, Judge. No, there's no evidence that this was actually his Instagram.
I don't know what I'm considering, so if you would bring that to the state.
takers.
Depends what is the state's argument that the court should consider it solely for purposes of remorse and not criminal action based on the defense's motion for no.
Sure, Judge, it will have evidence of remorse, but I still think there's authentication. I don't see any evidence of this actually is.
All right, state, we'll take a matter of advice and it's just.
Nothing further to say,
All right, let me ask the defense.
Your Honor, Judge McNeary and Randall Harper, on behalf of Willis Trueblood and his family. Judge, before we even start with evidence, Your Honor, I want to make something very clear that Mr. Trueblood himself and his mother have asked me to relay to this court and to the Simpsons family. Judge, as the court is well aware, there has been a no contact order during the duration of this case. Willis, his family, everyone that is here in support of him is legally prohibited from reaching out to them, from acknowledging their loss, the gravity of their loss, or from sending any condolences. Before we start with evidence, Judge, we wanted to make very clear that Willis Trueblood Jr. and his family extends their deepest condolences and sorrow for the loss of Allison's faith. Their heart breaks for their family, and since this case has been pending, Judge, they have done nothing but think about them and keep them in their thoughts and prayers, Your Honor. Thinking about their loss and the gravity that they experienced. So respectfully, Judge, before we even started, we wanted to acknowledge them and also make clear, Judge, that they've been prohibited from reaching out, which is why we are here right now. Judge, first, Your Honor, the defense will call Sergeant Cappleman with TP.
All right, depends what is the state's argument that the court should consider it solely for purposes of remorse and not criminal action based on the defense's motion for no.
Sure, Judge, it will have evidence of remorse, but I still think there's authentication. I don't see any evidence of this actually is.
All right, state, we'll take a matter of advice and it's just.
nothing further to say,
All right, let me ask the defense.
Your Honor, Judge McNeary and Randall Harper, on behalf of Willis Trueblood and his family. Judge, before we even start with evidence, Your Honor, I want to make something very clear that Mr. Trueblood himself and his mother have asked me to relay to this court and to the Simpsons family. Judge, as the court is well aware, there has been a no contact order during the duration of this case. Willis, his family, everyone that is here in support of him is legally prohibited from reaching out to them, from acknowledging their loss, the gravity of their loss, or from sending any condolences. Before we start with evidence, Judge, we wanted to make very clear that Willis Trueblood Jr. and his family extends their deepest condolences and sorrow for the loss of Allison's faith. Their heart breaks for their family, and since this case has been pending, Judge, they have done nothing but think about them and keep them in their thoughts and prayers, Your Honor. Thinking about their loss and the gravity that they experienced. So respectfully, Judge, before we even started, we wanted to acknowledge them and also make clear, Judge, that they've been prohibited from reaching out, which is why we are here right now. Judge, first, Your Honor, the defense will call Sergeant Cappleman with TP.
You swear on the testimony you give in the case now in here?
Judge, permission to move the podium a little bit. Good afternoon, Sergeant Cappleman. Can you please say and spell your name for the record?
Sergeant Cappleman, spelled C-A-P-L-A-N.
Sergeant Cappleman, how are you currently employed?
Supervisor of the traffic unit of Taos.
How long have you been in that role?
That role since the end of
I want to direct your attention back to an accident that your unit investigated on FSU campus. Have you had an opportunity to review the investigative report in this case?
Yes, I have.
Was that report actually conducted by Detective Harris, but you signed off in a supervisory capacity?
That's correct.
Can you please describe to Judge Marsh the area where this accident occurred?
The area of Pensacola and Lorene Street is in proximity to FSU campus. Pensacola Street is a westbound roadway. Lorene Street travels north and south.
And are you aware of the speed limits on those roads respectively?
Yes.
Can you tell the board, please?
At the time of this incident, the speed limit on Pensacola Street was 30 miles per hour. It is today 25 miles per hour. Lorene Street was 25 miles per hour at the time of this incident. It is still 25 miles per hour.
And Sergeant Cappleman, are you aware of the approximate time that the accident happened?
Yes,
What was that?
approximately 6:40.
And were there people at that time who began calling 911?
That's correct.
Sergeant Cappleman, are you aware of video cameras and surveillance cameras in the area of that intersection or around the campus there?
Time of the incident, yes.
And what were those?
We searched the entire area for any video surveillance that we could find. There are several buildings that had cameras on them that did not have video recordings or didn't have hard drives with the cameras that work. There was a video that was obtained from Southgate down the road from where the incident occurred, and that did have video of the vehicle prior to the crash.
The vehicle, was that the vehicle being driven by Willis Trueblood Jr.?
Yes.
And at that time, what can you tell us about the speed?
Speed of the vehicle on the video?
Yes.
Or what do you mean?
On the Southgate campus video.
From the Southgate campus video, observing traffic on that video and then seeing the suspect's vehicle, we could see it as we attempted to do reconstructions to try to get a speed, exact speed of the vehicle. The speed was consistent with between 37 and 44 miles per hour.
And at that time, from that surveillance, was the rate of speed consistent with the surrounding vehicle?
Yes.
And so based on what your unit used as industry standards and mathematical equations at the time of accident, what is your estimate for that?
At the time of the accident, I can tell you prior to the accident, the 37 to 44 would be the range based on the video evidence that we had. It was consistent with other traffic in the area as well. And at the time of the crash itself, based on the evidence of the crash scene, I can't give you an exact speed on that. There's not enough evidence to give you something exact on it.
Ultimately, in the scope of your investigation, you learn that Willis Trueblood Jr. leaves the accident.
Yes.
And then ultimately, do you learn that he surrenders himself to the Tallahassee Police Department about an hour after?
As far as the time goes, I would have to look at the cab, but it was within pretty close proximity to the accident.
What other questions?
Cross-examination.
So your best estimate is that Mr. Trueblood was traveling between 7 and 14 miles over the speed limit.
Based on the mathematical equations from the video at Southgate campus. That's correct.
And what is a safe speed to travel through a pedestrian crosswalk when the lights are flashing?
Through a pedestrian crosswalk, you should be stopped before pedestrian crosswalk if the lights are flashing. Are we good?
Yeah, Judge, just witness the video.
Who said that?
Your Honor, at this point, the defense would publish 3 body-worn clips of the responding officers to the area in which Mr. Trueblood Jr. was arrested. What you'll learn in these clips, Judge, is after the accident, Mr. Trueblood goes to a friend's house on Liberty and Fulton. There are 3 different Tallahassee police officers that respond to that area where he's taken into custody. It's the same video of the arrest, but from 3 different angles, Judge, that will play for you. You can see that up.
How are these marked?
For Judge, their defense exhibits would be 5.
I don't have any objection to Your Honor reviewing those, Judge, but if they do show the deceased on past the family,
I do not, Your Honor, what I also wanted to let the court know is there is a car affair. This is the arrest of Mrs. So that's a completely different location, Judge. You can see the car.
no objection.
This is defense exhibit 5, present?
Yes.
All right, without objection.
Judge, just as a reminder, Your Honor, the first 30 seconds of every one of these clips is now audio, and then after the first 30, you're
And I know you know this, I know this, but so that the record is aware of the court understands how these work, is that it's recording video consistently, and it's when it's activated, the audio starts recording automatically, keeps those 30 seconds of video that were already in.
Yes, sir.
Y'all just call us. I'm gonna let you know. You alright with that? Oh, yeah. Someone's been to talk to you. Hopefully we'll leave this handcuffs on. Yeah, we're just gonna set up here and get her.
But getting there, what's happened, right?
But he's panicked, he's scared.
Okay.
It's okay. So we will find out one time. He said, yeah. Y'all want to if I had know.
We're on question.
Oh.
TBD. Yeah, you saw that whole message.
Okay. This thing?
One thing.
So.
So it's just confirming Charlie Foxtrot. I see a few of them. Red Nissan Sentra.
Oh, we're not going to think.
We still have a whole in this.
An investigator.
Judge, what I think is important for the court to note in those clips of provided more camera first is the time, Judge. So it's 1940 on the officer's camera, so they are responding at 7:40, which is within an hour of this accident. What you can see is Willis Trueblood Jr. standing there with his mother, Lakeisha Williams, who you'll hear from shortly, as they walk out to law enforcement. You also see his uncle in the yellow tank top, who was bringing law enforcement to him as well with TPD. You'll learn when they testify shortly that they had called law enforcement and that they were told they could help flag somebody down, which is what they're doing, Judge, on that camera. You see Mr. Jr. there, Mr. Trueblood Jr. willingly walking out to the police, being cooperative, surrendering himself to them, Judge, and being cooperative with the arrest. And I think that's all important for him to know. Additionally, Judge, as you hear the officers acknowledge that he looks scared, that they can see he's scared as they're standing there and they acknowledge that his mom when he's walking out to be arrested. And I think that's all important for the court to consider. Next, Judge, the defense will call Detective Robert Adams.
Raise your right hand. If you swear or affirm the testimony you give in the case now here. Who's your name?
Thank you, Judge. Detective, could you please say and spell your name for the record?
Yes, Detective Robert Adams, ROB-ADAMS.
How are you currently?
With the Tallahassee Police Department.
How long have you been with that position?
Approximately 12 years.
And were you involved in the investigation and the questioning of Willis Trueblood Jr.? Judge, the defense would remove, I have it on the same CD, Judge, but it's 5 and 4 identification, the interrogation. I intend to play it first, Judge, and then ask Detective Adams.
No objection.
Judge, for the first 20 or so minutes, Mr. Trueblood Jr. is sitting in the room by himself until the detectives come in there to question him. And so with permission, Judge, I'll fast forward to that portion. Judge, would you like to put the speakers up? Are you your honor?
Go ahead and investigate out the
Trueblood, correct? Was. Yeah, no. My name is Jack Adams. You call me Rob if you want, it's easier. This is Detective Bullock. Josh, calm down. You know how wrong it is. Before I ask you any questions about what happened, after I'm done reading to you. All right, so this is Lorene, okay? Before you're asking questions, misunderstanding following rights. You have the right to remain silent. You do not have to talk to me if you do not wish to. You do not have to answer any of my questions. Understand? If you talk to me, anything that you say, maybe introduce me to evidence. If you want a lawyer to be present during questioning at this time or any time hereafter, you are entitled to your presence. You're not afforded to pay for a lawyer when you provide for you at no cost. If you decide to answer any questions now without a lawyer present, you still have a right to stop answering at any time. Talk to a lawyer. Knowing these rights in mind, you're willing to answer my questions about it. Just put it there. I'm sorry. I have quite a history background. I need to contact somebody. I don't know the yeah. So, yeah, I understand what you're asking. I need to get your side of what happened. Because what we see is just what we see. I haven't seen it yet. Like your side of it being a whole story. You try to get an idea of where you were, what was happening. Oh, it's not with those like pharmacies. Oh, definitely did already have paid out some. First thing is two different sides. Willis Street. The name of the street. Right. It's stating where it is. It's right. Do you remember it was a 2-lane road or a 1-lane road? No, I mean like there's traffic on both ways. Right, sure, it was only one way. Okay. Basically, I'm coming down, I see a light up there, and I'm trying to see the best I can. Other cars want to catch me up right now. Where I'm here to see she in the car? Okay. Everything is absolutely. Why did you leave? That started shaking. You know, what? Just little things or? Yeah, school. You are 18, correct? Okay, so after the accident happened, go through, where did you go? They gonna call your mom, right? Where was that at? Whole Street. Okay, sorry. I got called from the house. So I wasn't. Where were they going on kindergarten? Willis Street. What was their name? I don't know if you're a friend. His name Jordan. Jordan. You know Jordan's last name, or is that how you got that? All right. How long after you went to Jordan's house? Called mom. Call mom from Jordan's house. Your phone not work without like Wi-Fi. You called your mom, and I don't. Can you just say what's your mom's name? No Williams? So she's the one that owns the car? Just make sure I got it right, what kind of car it is. Sentra? Like 4-door, 2-door? Okay, so you went to Jordan's house, Fulton Liberty area, called mom, and then mom came to you. What was going through your mind during this time? One day I couldn't think about it. All I see was still let me shake out. Yeah, no, it's a dramatic event. But, you remember, I know this is right back a little hard, but you remember how fast you're going? I wasn't going that full trigger with it. I was going down so late. And you said there was traffic. I seen 2 cars in the left lane. Okay, so you're in the right lane. The right lane, which is the northern bus lane. You're trying to turn. Where were you headed to? To the man's house. Okay. Ben's? Where were you coming from? Just out of curiosity, where were you going? After you got to Jordan's house, they called your mom too. Already. I was so when she come. Yeah. They came to grab me just she. You should factory thing or? Yeah. She was great. Had a key. driver's side or your passenger side? Like right in the middle of it. I'm sorry, I didn't. You know, I appreciate you being so kind. I think you are being very honest with me. Is there anything that you, I know you said you didn't see where she was. Remember, you talking about a light, was it like a traffic light that you were at?
Where I was coming from, like, yeah, of course, they have some little signs that say keep walking and stuff.
Mhm.
No sign where she was at.
So like there's one that's got a little pedestrian bridge over it.
And it's past that one last, you know, what's
Mhm.
on.
Yeah. The short signs, the yellow signs. It's past that.
I just passed that, and then once I got a little bit further up, and there's a right up there, that's where I seen that.
The light right there by CVS.
On the road, but where I was coming from, you could see the stores that were every day that you got on the east side. But, you going towards like eight.
So basically, if you would have kept going straight. Just because, I mean, you said, I know you talked about your phone number. So it's sporadic. Looking at your phone or anything like that? No. Yeah. So just to give like a rundown from what you're saying, your house or something like towards house. So be Pensacola Street.
You know, I passed the TV, you go upstairs, right?
Tennessee, yeah. So do you remember driving like the big Holiday Inn, there's like a round Sheridan hotel, real tall hotel. We step out for a second. Anything else? We're open. You still have your phone? Or Just don't remember what you were saying. I know there was the hill there. By the down sun. I'm actually looking towards the windshield there. After you said she ran into the car. What happened exactly after? Stop or anything? Still zero down. You slow down, you were gonna stop. You didn't even want to towards us. Do you remember anything about you wearing or anything like that? You still see other things you said windshield. See around the press. Correct. When I signed this earlier, I wrote the wrong, just bring to your attention, I wrote the wrong year. You need a couple minutes, run downstairs, you need anything, just call your doctor right there. Back in right now.
Detective Adams, for the duration of the time that you were questioning Willis Trueblood, was he cooperative with you? Was he respectful to you and Detective Bullock? Did he answer your questions and everything you asked him? And throughout the questioning, does he tell you that everything happened so fast? Ultimately, after you're done questioning him, Detective Adams, he sits in the room for a while and then he's taken to jail. If there were any issues with his transport, would you have known about those?
I'm not.
Okay. Was there any problems with transporting him to the jail? Did he remain cooperative? No further questions, sir.
Page 5 of the transcript, Mr. Trueblood is telling you what happened. He indicates to you that she just hit the car. Is that how he phrased it? Not to get into semantics, but technically the car hit her, right? And in the interview, he was, I don't know how you got on the subject, but he offers to you that he had only ever been in trouble in school, not like this. That portion of the interview. And actually, he technically struck a deputy sheriff in the face. That was his primary trouble. Isn't that what happened? Would it refresh your recollection to review the report related to that incident?
I just want to clarify the first one when we said move on. That wouldn't your question.
Oh, yes, sir.
But he didn't know at the time.
Didn't know it at the time. All right, and during the course of this interview, How many questions did Mr. Trueblood ask about the victim? What was known, as far as you know, what did you know about her condition at the time of the incident?
I did not know, obviously. Specifically,
Yes.
I did not know.
Okay, you didn't advise him that she had passed. And he didn't ask. No further questions.
I know there was around 20, 50, 30, there's some whitening of the eyes. Do you see any visual here? I believe so, yeah. All right. Any questions in light of the court?
No, sir.
All right, Ms. Bell.
Your Honor, defense will now move into evidence what we have versus defense exhibit 1, Judge, this is the General Robinson asked the court for the record to take time 2034, which is 8:24. So this is almost within 2 hours. There's one last thing. There is a portion that I have to Also, judges, some portions are difficult to clear. I did have a transcript prepared.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear upon the testimony you give in the case of how here, should the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. All right, now, Mr. Reed.
First, I just want to say, those of the family of the victim, is not even feasible to think how they go through day after day, what they have to deal with loss of a loved one. I just want.
I was gonna wait to the end. They're gonna want your name.
John Hogan. Sometimes, growing up, you don't have a clear idea of what your future has for you. You don't know trials, the tribulations, the stuff you're going to deal with. But when you face them, you learn from them. You grow from them. I don't have any clue how he's going to be able to move forward from this. This is going to be a tragedy that he has to live with. If you hurt someone, you can go back and apologize. Like, if you take from someone, you can hopefully give it back and hopefully forgiveness. There's no way you can make up for taking a life. There's nothing you can do to that person's loved ones to give them that hope of seeing that person again. I wish I would have done better to instruct what it means to operate a vehicle, to know the responsibilities that comes with it, so that certain things just don't have to be a part of your life. Just hearing him say he, the sun with his eyes, I know I never talked to him about that, and that don't eat me up. I never taught him about that is when you slow down. He can't see. Don't push the gas. Slow down. Please allow for his lack of knowledge to weigh into the whole situation. One time we went out to eat for my sister's birthdays at a hibachi restaurant. And you know, when you go to a hibachi, it's a good time. You're going to have a great time. The guys going to entertain you and do the jokes and stuff. I looked over at Willis when the guy was doing the jokes on his sister and his mother, and I saw he was getting agitated and aggravated about it. And I talked to him later about it, and he was like, yeah, he was trying to be funny. I was like, no, Willis, that's his job. He's there to entertain the whole audience. He's the whole show. And it didn't even hit me that he didn't have that understanding of that. We do landscape. I'm a landscaper. So every day I get up and service others. Willis also comes when we pick up him. One day after I was doing something, I was like, hey, I need you to move the truck for me so we can get this thing done. It was like, John, I can't move the truck. Like, why? He said, that's a part of the thing I'm dealing with. I can't operate vehicles. I was like, yeah, move the truck. It was like, I can't, I gotta set a good example for my younger brother. And it hit me so hard, it'd be like, I don't know if I ever even thought about it. He looked at it like that. So he has to be an example. He was told not to do something, and then he cannot. And from that, he said, that is an example. I just wish I would have told him. Don't leave. Don't leave. Please don't leave. You talk to the children about, hey, you shouldn't speed, you shouldn't do this, but you don't tell them about the afterwards when the stuff happens. How to react after. He has to go accountable for the actions. I just ask for the leniency, but not whole things.
You would please raise your right hand. Swear to word firm testimony you give is now accurate.
I do. I'm Pastor Stan, and Spirit and Truth Outreach Ministries. I'm Willis pastor. Now, about maybe 10, 15 years, I don't know. I knew him when he was a little kid, maybe 10, 7, maybe years old. And I watched him grow up. And, you know, I've heard some things, you know, and today that would have never even crossed my mind. Is, you know, things like drug use or drug dealer and stuff like that. No, that would never happen. He's always been in a sheltered environment. When I say sheltered environment, his mother kept him and his siblings, I mean, in her watch at all times. Even when we had church events, if she couldn't be there, they couldn't be there. And that's the way they grew up. They grew up always at home, doing what they're supposed to do. I mean, I always used to compliment on how well mannered her kids were. Always. I mean, never any problems with them. I never had to counsel him about anything. As a matter of fact, he even helped me build a home for mentally and physically disabled. And he never complained, and whatever I asked him to do, he'll do it. And you know, I always though know that there was a slight edge of just, I say, and I don't mean it in a bad way, just the common sense to do things. You know, I mean, he would understand in his capacity, but not in the whole sense of how it should be, you know, and he always meant well. He grew up to work hard and got him a little job, and next thing I know, hey, just like any other kid, he was driving. And if he wasn't like he had a lot of experience driving before this thing happened. And like I said, I hate the fact that what happened in my heart just pours out to the family of the lost child. That's the worst thing you could think of as a parent, is that your child leaves before you. And my heart goes out. But this whole thing was a travesty. What happened to him is just, I don't know, it's a lot of not knowing what to do. And that shaped what he did. But as far as just plain malice, just with no care, that wasn't him. That wasn't him at all. And that wasn't the way that his family brought him up, and that wasn't the kid that I counseled in ministry and that, you know, that helped me in the church and did things that, you know, that other kids, I couldn't get other kids to do. And he was always like shell, you know, when I say shell, he always like to himself. He was never outspoken or hung with a crowd of kids or nothing. He stayed to himself all the time. Kind of shell. It was just him and his brother. And one thing I can say, if I had to paint a picture of him, and I done dealt with a lot of rough kids, but he was nothing like that. He's just as kind and considerate as he can be. But like I said, I don't know what in the world, you know, what goes in kids' minds when they get in trouble. His thing was he had to find his mom. Like I said, that's all he had, really, his mom. And she sheltered them, and she kept them under her wing like a hen for the chicks. And whenever they got in trouble, they ran to their mom. And I guess that's what was on his mind. Like I said, I hate what happened, and you can't fix that. You can't, it's nothing, no bandage or nothing can heal that pain. But maybe, I don't know, maybe we could resolve something out of this and not take 2 lives out. So I thank you for your time.
Yes,
All right, let us know your name and then raise.
my name is Janelle Holmes. First, I would like to apologize to the fact this has been a heavy on our family as well because we understand the loss that they took and we're so sorry and we've been praying for their family. We've been wanting to reach out to them, but we understand that no contact order that was granted, so we had to obey that also. But we are truly sorry, and they are in our prayers holidays all the time. We pray for them because we understand the mistake they took. Because had it been the other way, we would feel the same that they were feeling. But what I want them to understand is Willis is not a bad kid. Every kid, we were going through the process of learning. And as the pastor said, Willis was sheltered. The mother kept them together in the house. He didn't roam the streets and hang out with groups like some kids do. And this is heavy on my heart because when the idea came up about the purchasing of the car for Willis, me and his grandmother, and I debated with her about that because of the fact that he hadn't been driving, had enough experience on the road to operate. I didn't think he had enough experience driving, and me and her debated, and we went back and forth. When I looked up, and he didn't have enough experience driving. He hadn't been, like I said, he was a shelter kid. And he's very sorry about what he did, and we understand that he has to endure some consequences for his actions, which was legal, but he panicked. And it wasn't like he panicked to run and hide and get away. His mother went and called and asked called the cops to come and get him. He wasn't hiding. He was scared. But again, I just want the family to know that we are very, very sorry, and we understand that the loss that was taken from them, and we're praying for them. And I can understand if they have some mercy, because if it was vice versa, we maybe have those two, but we're sorry, we're praying for them, and he's not a bad kid, and he hadn't had that much experience, and I know that doesn't cover, the accident, but it was an accident, and I just want to say again, we are so sorry.
All right, put your hand down, and if you'll let us know your name, and then we proceed.
My name is Christy Owens. We are in the courts. Good afternoon. My name is Christy Hogan, and I'm a social worker for a local nonprofit. Willis Trueblood is here, is my oldest nephew. I am here today to speak on this character. I can take the following information to the family of your family. We send our sincere apologies to your family. There is not a day or special occasion that we do not include your family in our prayers. Your lives changed forever that day, and we will all be forever connected. Pray for forgiveness and ask for grace as we continue to help support and navigate with during this time. In the past, our siblings and I have always taught our kids
when something happens, I'm really parents first. No matter what they get there outside of the court, order, I want to assure you that our family shared principles are based on faith, love, kindness, and gratitude. These are the values that have been instilled in Willis. Our family is not grand, it's very small. We cherish each moment that we have together. For those that know Willis know that his life was consumed with church, work, and school. Willis has always been a quiet and reserved child. Of his entire adolescence, I've noticed he is not a child that speaks many words. I want to have long, in-depth conversations. However, when he does talk, his words are meaningful and impactful. So when I was going through postpartum after delivering my twins, what he came to me and said, Auntie Christy, I know you're tired. Let me watch the twins while you sleep for a couple of hours. God, he's a kind person. He has always been to help my kids and his siblings to learn how to ride a bike or help with science their projects. Willis and my twins, they're 4 years old. They share a unique bond. My son is quiet and reserved, and often I think Willis is the only person who truly understands. They say a lot to each other, often without uttering a word. My oldest daughter adores Willis and looks forward to the advice that her cousin gives her on the weekends. We love and care deeply for Willis. To the Sims family, again, we are truly saddened by what occurred, and we will forever keep your family in our thoughts and prayers.
That's fine if you look on the phone. And if you can let us know your name, the court reporter's going to want to make sure we have your name and then you go ahead.
What happened? Was a little laptop. But no, stay calm because I didn't want to pay it. My uncle picked me up and took me over there. I didn't really know what was going on. And by the time we got there, it was getting there, my uncle called the police. Well, she told us what to do. When we were getting over there, we found out more. We were ignorant of this other kid. Get there. It was just an accident. Willis was not aware that he had passed. He wasn't even aware that he had. He thought it was as, you know, his something. He was aware of someone. He overheard my mistake. He overheard my you call, and that's what was lost it. Everywhere else. Police officers, who we called, told us it's like, we met the officers, were arrested. And I was trying to do the right thing. And one of them was rushing. This has changed everybody's life. Their lives in and out. We have been threats. I see it like in school. People have judged us. They know what we're doing. We got worried about what's going to happen. When you get out of something, we have to work happen. You know, it has caused a lot of work in this side. I don't know exactly where it happened. I don't know what's going on. I know he's going to have to have something for what happened, but he's out. He needs help. Nobody knows what he's going to do. I just pray for mercy. I'm asking for them to look outside to everyone else. Someone's really going through it together. And really, I'm sorry. They got to leave. I'm asking for you to help us.
So the first one other letter conveyed into the record. Now, Mr. Trueblood has been working at McDonald's. This is from his assistant manager. Her name is Andrea Ford. Willis is a really great worker. Of all of my coworkers, he is the only person I can truly count on when I am in need of help and coming to work on time. No matter if he has to work, no matter if he has to walk to work, he is going to come into work. He works an average of 40 hours a week, comes into work sometimes at 4 a.m. to 3 p.m. when I need help, and all the other coworkers have called out on me. He known how to control himself in this situation. Music is his key of self-control, and I learned that from working with him for the past year. The other letter I have judged the last one on is from Mary Bryant, grandma of Willis Trueblood Jr. My name is Mary Bryant, and I'm the grandmother of Willis Trueblood Jr. I respectfully submit this letter to the court with humility and deep sorrow regarding the tragic loss of Elizabeth Ellie Sims. First and foremost, I wish to express my heartfelt condolences to Ellie's family and loved ones. There are no words that can ease the pain of losing a child, and I understand that their loss is profound and permanent. I am deeply sorry for their grief, and I keep them in my prayers. I have known Willis his entire life. He was raised in a loving and structured family environment with a strong church background, where he was taught respect, accountability, compassion, and the value of human life. Throughout his upbringing, Willis has always been a well-mannered, respectful, and courteous young man, known by family, church members, and those around him for his character and good conduct. Prior to this tragic incident, Willis had no serious criminal history, and had never been in trouble with the law. At the time of the accident, he was 18 years old, still very young. While nothing can excuse what happened, I believe his actions were the result of panic and fear, not cruelty or disregard for life. A young person faced with such a terrifying moment may make a decision that he will regret for the rest of his life. Willis has expressed sincere remorse and sorrow for the loss of Ellie's life, understands the gravity of this tragedy and the pain it has caused. This event has deeply affected him and our entire family. By entering a no contest plea, he has accepted responsibility and prepared to face the consequences of his actions. I respectfully ask the court to consider Willis's youth at the time of the offense, the lack of any serious prior criminal record, his faith-based upbringing, and the strong family support that surrounds him. I believe that while accountability is necessary, mercy, counseling, and opportunity would allow him to mature, learn from this tragedy, and one day become a positive and productive member of society. Thank you, Judge Marsh, for your time and consideration. Respectfully submitted, Mary Bryant, grandmother of Willis Trueblood Jr. We also have a presentation, Judge, of pictures of Willis and his family. Judge, just to make sure I understand, the court will permit Willis to address the court again. The court will allow Willis to address Your Honor after the state makes their argument on them. That was the court said.
No, you would do that during the evidence and that portion. Then the argument is just I'll allow you to have the last argument.
Mr. Trueblood is also ready to address the court.
Let's just make sure he has a.
Defense Exhibit 1, Judge, this is the diagnostic evaluation that was already provided to the court by Dr. Rhonda Harrison-Sproul. I do that to evidence 1.
No objection.
Next, Judge, I would move into evidence the restorative justice letter that was drafted by Connection First. And Your Honor already received a copy of that. I would like to read that into the record, Judge. To whom it may concern, and this is Defense Exhibit 2. I'm writing on behalf of Connection First. We are the nonprofit. We are the nonprofit organization that operates the restorative justice program in Circuit 2. On June 11th, 2025, our team completed a comprehensive intake with Willis Trueblood. The purpose of our intake process is to assess whether the responsible person and case overall are appropriate for restorative justice, while ensuring there is accountability for the harm caused, a clear understanding of the restorative justice process and its goals, and recognition of the voluntary nature of participation for all involved parties. Our intake process is thorough and evaluative. During intake, our team reviews and discusses the individual's understanding of the harm that was caused and their willingness to take responsibility, their comprehension of restorative justice and its focus on repairing harm, the expectations, commitments, and structure of our program, and the importance of voluntary participation. Connection First does not automatically accept all referrals. If our team determines that a responsible party is not demonstrating accountability, does not understand the purpose of restorative justice, or that the case is not appropriate for a restorative process, we decline to move forward. This ensures the integrity of our program and the safety and well-being of all participants. Based on the intake conducted on June 11th, 2025, our team determined that Mr. Trueblood demonstrated an understanding of the restorative justice process, acknowledged the impact of the harm caused, and engaged in the intake in a manner consistent with the accountability and willingness required for participation in our program. While Connection First was prepared to proceed with restorative justice services in this case, the prosecutor ultimately did not agree to move forward with the restorative justice process. As a result, this case did not advance beyond intake. Although restorative justice was not pursued, the intake process reflects Mr. Trueblood's engagement in reflection, accountability, and a willingness to participate in a process focused on repairing harm. Please feel free to contact me should you need additional information regarding our intake process or connection first. And that's signed by Janelle Edens, and that's moved into evidence as defense exhibit 2. Next, Your Honor, defense exhibit 3, which is provided to the state, is the progress report of the Department of Juvenile Justice, Your Honor. While Mr. Trueblood was on probation for a juvenile delinquency case, he did complete all of the conditions of his probation and moved on. And lastly, Judge, the citation that's associated with this case, Judge, is AJA 0FYE as defense exhibit. I'll pray for those exhibits, Your Honor.
The court is considering the objection in response by the state as to state's exhibit C for identification. The objection is sustained.
Yes, Judge. Next, Your Honor, we would call members of Willis family for character witnesses.
That's sort of board choice.
Father God, first will have everything. I have to say here. Yeah, they had to do it. I'm still not mixed with great things. I just here at this point.
The court is ready for the argument. Please, you may argue.
Obviously, nobody can articulate the gravity of this crime better than the victim. Her loss is felt profoundly in that family and well beyond. There's a few facts that I do want to point out. We acknowledge that this defendant did not intend any harm. That's not what this case is about, and nobody's claiming otherwise. But there are some aggravating factors that we think should justify the sentence that we're asking for, which is really just the minimum. This defendant was on juvenile probation when this happened. Yes, he's a very young man. He has his whole life ahead of him, regardless of what your Honor says. He will not be defined by this. He can choose to do things with his life, and Ellie can't. And that's really where we land when we look at everything. He chose to speed. The testimony today was that he was in excess of the speed limit with blinding sunlight in his eyes. He did know that he had hit someone. It was really obvious and acknowledged by him at the time, yet he chose not to stop. Why did he do that? Because he was scared and he wanted his mom. Yeah, We have no reason to dispute that, but it's still the wrong thing to do. And it's criminal. And there's accountability for one's actions. He did not express, yes, he showed remorse here today, but he did not express any remorse or concern for her at all at that crash scene. He did not express any remorse or concern for her at all at his arrest. He did not express any concern or remorse during his interview, and all of that was before any court order restricting his conduct in any way. He was scared for himself, understandably, but he was worried about himself. And, you know, we're not asking for the maximum sentence. The maximum sentence, as your Honor is well aware, is 30 years. But we're asking for not even what the score sheet recommends, the 200.60 months. We're asking for the lowest permissible prison sentence in months, 129.45 months. And I think that's appropriate for this defendant to have consequences, to learn from what he has done, and to then move forward with his life, something that obviously Ellie Sims and her family cannot and will not ever do. Thank you.
She may already lost one.
Thank you, Judge. The court's aware in the mitigation memorandum and motion that we filed that defense is moving for a downward departure on 3 grounds, Judge. I'd like to highlight that the evidence and testimony is shown from those 3 reasons. So first, Judge, is the isolated, unsophisticated for which she shows remorse. We laid out the case law, Judge, that one prior juvenile delinquency petition is not enough to exclude him from an isolated incident. And additionally, Judge, the court now has the DJJ disposition that shows he successfully completed everything he was asked to on that probation. He completed community service hours, an anger management class, and a mentoring program. Most importantly, Judge, since he's been released while this case has been pending, he has followed every order of the court. There have been no allegations of any bond violation. He has continued to demonstrate that this one situation, Judge, was isolated. With regard to unsophisticated, Judge, I think the state concedes and we agree, and I hope that everyone can understand that there was no planning or premeditation or an intent by any way to harm him. That was not contemplated by him. That was never what he set out to do that day. Furthermore, Judge, in what the court is having to fashion a sentence for when we talk about leaving the scene, there was no cover-up, there was no destruction of evidence in this case, there was no plan to lie to law enforcement, and in fact, you've heard the opposite, that the family themselves, the Trueblood family, was reaching out to law enforcement. You see Mr. Hogan, who testified, walk out to meet the officers. He comes out there, willingly surrenders himself to law enforcement, goes into custody within 1 hour of this crime. Judge, with regard to remorse, Your Honor, I think the court can sense the palpable remorse in what Mr. Trueblood just said to the court, but additionally, Your Honor, in his acceptance into the Restorative Justice Program a year ago, in every way, he has demonstrated his willingness to take accountability for this. What you heard from his mother, Judge, is that he did learn that she had passed away, and he did respond in that time with sincere regret and sincere remorse and sincere and genuine emotion about the gravity of what had happened. Because we also have to acknowledge that within that hour, he was in handcuffs and was being interrogated. So we can all kind of sit here in hindsight and look or ponder what his reaction should have been. But at that same time, Judge, he's an 18-year-old boy who has known that he has killed someone and is now being questioned about the criminal imposition that comes from that. And in that moment, Judge, he is remorseful. You can see the emotion on him before he even asks that question of Detective Adams. Judge, everyone in this room, from Mr. Trueblood's family that is here, acknowledges the loss here and the gravity of that. And they are incredibly remorseful. But most importantly, Mr. Trueblood is remorseful, and we just demonstrated that. Judge, that's the first ground that the defense believes you have enough evidence to downward depart. The second, Your Honor, is that Mr. Trueblood requires specialized treatment for a mental disorder that is unrelated to substance abuse or addiction, and he's amenable to treatment. As we provided the evaluation by Dr. Rhonda Sproul, I would highlight a couple points, Your Honor. Specifically in the behavioral observations of his mental status examination, Mr. Trueblood described his mood as stressful and noted that he has been trying to live peacefully. He did not independently report feeling depressed, but acknowledged a significant number of symptoms associated with depression, including persistent sad mood, social withdrawal and isolation, loss of interest and enjoyment in activities, suicidal thinking on the day of the accident. He reports frequent nightmares, as well as an inability to both fall and stay asleep. He reported that he wakes up repeatedly, often only after 30 minutes. He tries to avoid thinking about this by keeping busy. He would work 12 hours a day if they'd let me. He tries to keep busy. If not, he'll be sitting with his thoughts all day. Mr. Trueblood weighed approximately 180 pounds when it happened, but he found he could not eat and lost approximately 30 to 40 pounds. In recent weeks, he has tried to gain back a bit of weight, estimated his current weight at 160. He avoids going out in public and fears being recognized for what happened and not who he is. But he far exceeded every number of criteria for a PTSD diagnosis. I think that's important, not in any means just to undermine what the family is going through, but to also acknowledge, Your Honor, that Mr. Trueblood himself also has to live with this for the rest of his life, and that he has that diagnosis also judged. We do think, Your Honor, that we have established that basis for a downward departure. And I would also remind the court judge of what is pointed out in the report as far as untreated PTSD. Untreated PTSD is associated with increased risk of suicide, particularly among minorities. PTSD is also associated with the development of other mental disorders, substance use disorders, and high-risk behavior. The reality is that he does need counseling for this judge, and he's amenable to do that treatment. The other thing I remind Your Honor, who's familiar with the Department of Corrections judge, that's not going to be awkward. It's not something that we have to prove, Your Honor, but it's simply not something that is going to happen. The last ground, Judge, is youthful offender. I think we've established that, Judge. There's no discrepancy to his age at the time. I also, in the motion, Your Honor, highlighted the legislative intent behind youthful offender. And while it acknowledges that age and maturity and decision-making of young people is important when we're fashioning sentences for criminal activity, and also, Judge, to acknowledge the legislature's intent when they talked about youthful offender and how the goal should be to separate young people and prevent their association with older and more experienced criminals. Because we have to acknowledge the reality about the Department of Corrections, particularly for a young man that has never been in trouble to include incarceration or lengthy prison sentences. He has 1 day of credit, Judge. Whatever the court sentences him to, he will serve the majority with the exception of his 85% gain time if he's eligible for that. The reality of prison are that he's going to be exposed or victimized to significant violence, to physical brutality, to terror and trauma. But I think we have to acknowledge that in fashioning a sentence, which is why youthful offender offers the court a way to structure a sentence that would minimize that, but also continue to ensure that he takes accountability for his actions. Judge, I laid out in the case law and in the research the maturity and development of young people. 18 is not a magic number, Judge. It doesn't just mean that you continue to make an adult decision at that point. You continue to mature and develop. But particularly, Judge, in decision making in high stress situations like this awful tragedy was, you have to acknowledge his age. Respectfully, Judge, we do ask the court to take into account what has been provided today and to grant downward departure and to give Mr. Trueblood mercy and a second chance here. There's not all of his family members testified, but he does have a supportive circle. He does have friends and family that love him and care about him, and he has continued to try and support them throughout the time this case has been pending. His mom expressed to you, Your Honor, that the reality of how this has affected their family. They've had to change schools. They've received threats about this. And Judge, they're just asking the court for a second chance for Willis Trueblood and to give him some mercy in this situation, Judge. I also highlighted in the motion other cases, and I think when we look at this situation as a whole, Your Honor, there's no indication that he was under the influence. There's no indication through the citation that he was cited for careless driving or aggressive driving or anything to indicate that he was willfully and wantonly disregarding the safety of the road, Judge. And the second he got to his mother, he did everything that he could to try and do the right thing, to cooperate with law enforcement, to fully confess to his fault. This is a different situation. And respectfully, Judge, we ask the court to find that we've met the burden for a downward departure, to show Mr. Trueblood grace and mercy in this situation, and grant that downward departure.
In a number of cases, you cited downward departure, according to case law, is slightly different than the minimum mandatory, in this case of 4 years. Are you asking for a departure from a mandatory minimum term pursuant to Florida statute 316.027G? And if so, what evidence supports that it would result in?
Judge, the evidence that the defense's position is that youthful offender does allow the court to.
Understand youthful offender, but separately, or are you asking for departure outside of that, outside of youthful offender as to the mandatory minimum? Because if the court grants that outside of youthful offender, the court is required to state the basis, and the court may only grant it if it finds that a factor, consideration, or circumstance clearly demonstrates that imposing a mandatory minimum term would constitute or result in an injustice. I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but I need that to be true.
Yes, Judge. The defense's position wholeheartedly is that 4 years of imprisonment for this case would be an injustice. This is nothing that he has ever done before. This is nothing that he intended to do. And Judge, the punishment here, while we all acknowledge and recognize the gravity of loss, the punishment is for leaving. So when we look at in the scope of what the court has heard as far as leaving, Judge, we are talking within an hour. His family is reaching out to law enforcement. He is surrendering himself to them, and he is acknowledging within 2 hours everything that he did in this case. So yes, Judge, respectfully, we do believe that would be an injustice.
All right. With that, the court will be in recess for approximately 20 minutes. All right, we're back in Leon County case 2024 CF 1235 State versus Trueblood. At a previous session of this court, the defendant entered a plea of no contest to the sole count of the amended information, one count of witness crash involving death. The court accepted that plea and set the matter for sentencing, which we have held here today. In this case, the court has heard about Ellie Sims, loud voice that was silent. The court heard about Willis Trueblood, quiet voice screaming out for mercy. No sentence will fill the hole left in this family for Alpha Chi Omega sisters, Florida State University, or the Tallahassee community. But no sentence is needed to correct some awful or evil intent, because that's not what we have. Court's got to decide an appropriate punishment, one that deals with general deterrence, one that fits this offender. Court heard about Ellie, full of life, and doing it the right way, coming home from the library in a crosswalk, having pushed the button, and the lights were flashing. Something all of our Florida State University students should feel safe being able to cross the street. We heard about the hurt of her younger brother answering the door to law enforcement officers. The anguish of a mother not being able to accept the loss of her child. We heard from her father and the loss he feels, and the sister that dreads her own wedding. But we also heard from the Trueblood family, their sincere remorse, the fact that they flagged down law enforcement and the defendant turned so. So in fashioning the sentence, the court's required to look at the statutory downward departures requested by the defense. First, youthful offender, the defendant does qualify the time of crime and now prior to sentencing. The court finds a downward departure under that basis not be appropriate and exercises discretion not to sentence as a Next is the specialized treatment for a mental disorder. The defendant does qualify based on Defense Exhibit 1. This is not one of those cases where, based on that, this court should download the court. And finally, that this crime was committed in an unsophisticated way, in an isolated fashion, and that the defendant has shown remorse. Definitely an unsophisticated crime. There's no indication of any cover-up, any hiding evidence. The young man who drove away asked for his number. The court legally finds this to be isolated. The court will note the defendant was on probation with DJJ, but under the law of Florida and the case law that controls, that is not a definition of it just per se being not isolated. The case law supports that this one crime, followed by the one we're here for today, does qualify the defendant for this to be an isolated crime. And finally, remorse. This one was closer, folks. The first two were easy, this one was hard. But what we heard from, I intently watched the defendant during the entirety of this proceeding, see what his reactions are. Not just to what he's facing, but to whom he's facing. The court had to ask that question, and you heard me ask it of the officer, because you see the defendant wiping his eyes, doing something during that interrogation. He said he did see tears. For that, I do find the defendant to be remorseful, and he does qualify for downward departure. The state in this case has asked for the lowest permissible sentence, which is not, and the state pointed out, not the recommended sentence. The origin of the law in this regard with the legislature is the legislature first had recommended sentences, and it was a upward departure or a downward departure. They got rid of the requirement of upward departure. They kept the lower limit, which is what results as our lowest permissible sentence. The state has asked for that lowest permissible sentence that we previously discussed as 129.450 months. Defense has asked for less than 4 years, 4 years being the mandatory minimum requirement of the statute. In fashioning the appropriate sentence, this court has to balance the needs of society, traffic safety at FSU and other general deterrents, with the needs of this defendant. So ultimately, the court sentences the defendant as follows. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm required to read all the court costs and fees and their statutory bases, so I'm going to do that first. Mr. Trueblood, this court adjudicates you guilty of count 1 and sentences you as follows. The $2,100 fine pursuant to Florida Statute 775.083. $105 surcharge pursuant to 938.04. $20 court costs pursuant to 938.06 Crime Stopper Trust Fund. $3 court costs pursuant to 938.011 Criminal Justice Trust Fund. $50 pursuant to 938.03 Crimes Compensation Trust Fund. $225 pursuant to 938.05 Local Government Criminal Justice Trust Fund. $2 court costs pursuant to 938.15 City Criminal Justice Education, City Code Section 1-8. $50 court costs pursuant to 775.0832 County Crime Prevention. $65 court costs pursuant to 939.185 County Additional Court Costs, County Code 7-24. $3 court costs pursuant to 938.19 Team Court Assessment, Leon County Code 7-28. $50 public defender application fee pursuant to 27.521B. $100 cost of prosecution pursuant to 930.278. And $100 legal assistance made pursuant to 930.291. Although this sentence will not satisfy anyone, the sentence of this court is as follows. The defendant shall be sentenced to 8 years in the Florida Department of Corrections with a 4-year mandatory minimum. He will have a 3-year driver's license revocation, and he shall pay restitution to the victims, the amount to be reserved in 90 days. So you have the right to, the defendant will receive 1 day for credit and he's served. You have the right to appeal the jurisdiction of this court and the legality of its sentence within 30 days from today's date. If you cannot afford an attorney for that appeal, I can appoint one to represent you. For that, the defendant will be remanded into the custody of the Florida Department, of the Leon County Sheriff for transmission to the Florida Department of Corrections. For that, let's dismiss.
Now that you've heard the evidence presented to Judge Marsh, what do you think about the sentence? Was it fair? If you were the judge, what sentence would you have imposed? And finally, may Ellie Sims rest in peace. My name is Maya with Deep Dive True Crime and Mentor Lawyer Justice Network, and thank you for making it to the end of this video.
Very serious.
She got hit. Was it back there or up here?
It was definitely at the crosswalk. I heard it. I saw her. I was right where that guy is, sitting like right over there with my dog, and flew in the air, hit, roll. I heard the hit.
Okay.
I heard the hit, so I instantly turned my head, and I saw her flying through the air, and I saw her hit the ground and like roll, like where the first thing right there.
Okay.
Right there on the ground, or some. It looked like she rolled, and then I turned to look at the car because I'm like trying to evaluate what actually happened, and then the car slowed down and goes, "Oh shit," and then sped off. It was a guy, a man.
White, black.
I didn't process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I heard it was a man for sure.
But you definitely saw the vehicle hit her, and
I heard it hit. I didn't see the collision, but I heard it, turned my head, saw her flying through the air.
So you was down there,
right where that man is, because I live right there.
What way were you looking?
Right. Well, so I'm facing this way, and I heard it. I'm like this. I'm like this because I'm leaning against the pole. I'm like this. Just turn my head like faintly because I hear the noise. Her in the air and him, the car driving, and then I got up. I stood up, and then the car. By that time, the car was like right kind of in front of my apartment. I yelled, "Oh shit!"
Were there any other cars in the area?
They all stopped. Everybody stopped.
So that was the only one that came through?
In the moment that I saw, there might have been cars ahead of him that didn't see, like they went before she started in the crosswalk.
Sure. Okay.
But the other cars behind her stopped. Everybody stopped. Like when they hit her, everybody still stopped there.
Does anybody else on scene that you know that was still here when it happened?
No, nobody. I mean, that guy that just walked in there, he was in this like car area, but not. He saw me run out here, and I think he came out.
Okay.
But there was people out here. Like the second the guy, I don't know where he went. He was sitting right here.
Okay.
He had like a little heavier set white guy, tall.
Came out for just a little bit, so we got a detective. Our traffic unit's going to come out here. They're probably going to want to talk to you just about what you saw real quick. We may be able to even pull up some pictures or run through some cars.
I saw, if you see like some like right there, I'll know what car it was. I got up. If I'm in the camera footage.
Yep.
Because I'm in the sidewalk when it drove by me.
Okay.
And I like looked back to see it, and then but I obviously was more focused on this.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, if you don't mind just hanging out, just keep somebody with her.
I have no clue. We just getting witnesses and stuff right now. Okay. All right. Where were you at when you
Wait, I was sitting right there. You see the atrium sign?
The atrium sign?
The sign right there. So it's like atrium. There's a guy walking.
Yeah.
I was sitting right there because I was sitting with my dog outside. I heard it turn out. I saw it in the air and land.
Okay.
And then she rolled kind of. And then the car stopped, like almost slowed down. Then yelled, "Oh shit!" And then kept going, and I didn't get to see the whole car. It's a black car with a silver on the back of the.
Tiffo, hold off because I got a primary witness, and she's saying it's a black car. It's not an SUV. Give me 1 second. I'll give you more.
The ground and roll down.
All right. So you
10-4, 258. If there's no change, I'll channel.
So you were standing there.
I'm sitting right there where that guy is on the phone.
And you.
Okay. So, what'd you see?
Okay, so this is my car here. I was in the left lane and she clicked the thing, so I slowed down. It was the car that was next to me in the right. They didn't. Obviously, I didn't see her completely hit her. It was either white or silver. I was kind of in shock, but he said silver, so that might.
Okay, bigger SUV, like bigger than mine, smaller than mine?
I'd say like the same size as yours.
So I'm trying to see. So was the person in the wrong?
They're dead.
Was they in the wrong? Was they at the walkway?
We don't know.
You don't know.
Is that right? Again, my name's Detective Adams. You can call me Rob if you want. It's easier. It's okay if I call you Willis. This is Detective Bullock. Josh Bullock. I call him Josh. You know why we're all here, correct? Okay. Before I ask you any questions about what happened, I got to read you something. Okay, this is It's your statement is right. It's your Miranda warning, okay? When we're, after I'm done reading it to you, we can look over it, and if you would like to talk to us, just have you sign it, okay? All right, so this is your Miranda warning, okay? Before you're asked any questions, you must understand the following rights. You have the right to remain silent. You do not have to talk to me if you do not wish to. You do not have to answer any of my questions. Do you understand? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Should you talk to me, anything which you say may be introduced into evidence against you in a court of law. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
If you want a lawyer to be present during questioning at this time or any time hereafter, you are entitled to have a lawyer present. Do you understand? If you cannot afford to pay for a lawyer, one will be provided for you at no cost if you want one. Do you understand that, right? If you decide to answer any questions now without a lawyer present, you still have the right to stop answering at any time until you talk to a lawyer. Do you understand? Knowing these rights in mind, are you willing to answer my questions without having a lawyer present?
Yes.
All right. I'm assuming your right hand.
Left hand.
Left hand? Okay, that'll work. Be able to just sign there and print your name if you could. He just printed right there. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's okay. You're good. Yes, sir. It is April 29th. $8:37. I have what I think is your biographical information. Willis Lamar Trueblood Jr.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have a phone number? No phone?
I have a phone where I already have it for.
Okay. How do you contact somebody? Is it like
FaceTime.
okay? You don't know the number that associated to it or not?
I know it's the same property.
Okay.
Call Central Florida.
Okay. And mom's at. Okay. Wow. Yeah, it is the 20. It is 20. So, I understand there was an accident. Okay. I need to get your side of what happened because what we see is just what we see at the scene of the accident, and without your side of it, we don't have a whole story. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Can you kind of give me an idea of where you were, what was happening?
I know around the time I know it was like 5 or 6 o'clock traffic. I don't know, but I just know it was a bunch of traffic, and the sun was definitely beaming my way. I had my thing down so I can be able to drive.
Like visor?
Yes, sir. Yep. So coming down like a little hill-ish, it's like a good little hill. So wherever Florida State is, it's 2 different sides. Like I'm in the middle, like it's a street. I don't know what side of Florida State that is, but I know it's stores over here and stores over there.
Do you remember the name of the street?
No, sir.
Okay.
But it's like the Civic Stadium, whatever that is. It's
okay,
right
so
before that, like up there somewhere. All the people be at over there.
Okay. Do you remember it was a 2-lane road or a 1-lane road?
It was a 2-lane road.
No, I mean like there's a traffic going both ways.
Like traffic going
only going one way. Okay.
So basically, I'm coming down, and I see the light up there. I'm trying to look as best as I can. I see other cars going, so that's notifying me that I'm still able to go before I get to the light because I have to switch lanes to get over. And by the time I look to see what's like my mirror to see who's beside me for me to switch lanes, I just boom, just boom, the car She just hit the car.
She hit the car.
Yeah, I didn't even see
Okay.
it coming. Like, just like everything, it just happened so fast. I didn't see it coming. I didn't know what to do. So I just left.
Okay.
Went somewhere I could have been charged with phone and call home.
Why did you leave?
Because I was panicking. I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
I was really scared. I started shaking. I was feeling hot, and I didn't know what to do. I was just, I don't know. I just left. I was scared, bro. I was scared.
Have you ever been in trouble before?
Not like this.
Any just little things or?
Yeah, at school, I got in trouble at school with a police officer, but it was like not one, like during school, you feel me? Doing like that, yeah, something like that, so.
And you are 18, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so after the accident happened, go through, like, where did you go?
The
I
first thing
said you called your mom, right?
Yes.
Okay.
First thing I could do was go to my friend's house and call him. That's the only thing I could do first.
And where was that at?
Where I got me from Holton Street.
On Holton Street?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry. I got called from the house, so I wouldn't.
Well, whoever came and got me, they the Liberty Street.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they picked me up from. They came and got me over there.
Okay. And what's their name?
I don't know the officer name. There.
No, your friend, you said.
Oh, his name Jordan.
Jordan?
Yes, sir.
Do you know Jordan's last name, or is that his last name?
No, his last name is Edwards.
Edwards?
Yes.
How do you know him?
We went to school together.
Where'd y'all go?
Last year, he's still in 12th grade.
Okay. Where'd y'all go to school?
Lincoln.
Okay. About how long after you went to Jordan's house? You said you called mom?
I went there instantly and called him instantly.
You called mom from Jordan's house?
Yes.
Does your phone not work without like Wi-Fi or?
It depends. Like the service I have, it be iffy. I got straight talk, so it be iffy depending on where I'm at.
Okay.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it won't.
Okay, so you called your mom, and I don't.
And she came and got me. Like she came there, sat and waited for everybody to come, basically. So we was just sitting there at my friend's house.
Okay, is your mom? What's your mom's name?
LaQuisha.
Williams.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so she's the one that owns the car?
Yes.
Just make sure I got it right. What kind of car is it?
It's a Nissan Sentra 2008.
Okay, a Sentra.
Yes, sir.
Is it like 4-door, 2-door?
4-door.
Okay, so you went to Jordan's house, Holton Liberty area, and you called mom, and then mom came to you?
Yes.
Okay. What was going through your mind during this time?
Only thing I could really think about is where did she come from? Literally, where did she come from? All I seen was sun and road. That's it.
Okay.
That's all I could see. I didn't even know how she even got there. It's still got me shaking. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, no, it's a traumatic event.
Yeah. Out of nowhere.
What do you remember? I know this is probably might be a little hard, but do you remember how fast you're going?
I wasn't going over 30. I know that.
Okay.
I wasn't going over 30. I was slowing down to switch lanes.
And you said there was traffic.
I seen 2 cars in the left lane where I was going to switch to get behind.
Okay, so you're in the
right lane.
The right lane, which is the northernmost lane, and you're trying to turn.
I'm trying to turn left. Yes.
Okay, where were you headed to?
To Ben's house, to Jordan Ben's house. We call him Ben's, but his name Jordan Edwards.
Okay, and Ben's.
Bands. We call him Bands.
Like BANDS? Bands?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Where were you coming from?
From my house. Like me.
Just out of curiosity, what were you going to do there at Jordan?
Oh, we were literally just going to chill, play the game. Xbox.
Play some Xbox, okay. After you got to Jordan's house, you said you called your mom. Did you look at the car?
I was, like I said, I was stuck on where did she come from. I was panicking. I didn't even look at the car. Until they came and got me, that's when I had a chance to actually look at the car, see what happened.
Okay.
Like I was shaking. I couldn't do nothing. I started throwing up. It was everything, and I couldn't do it.
Was like the windshield cracked or anything, or?
Yeah, the windshield was cracked.
Okay.
The windshield was cracked. Like it had a dent in the front of the car. Like front of the car had a
On
dent.
the driver's side or the
actual,
passenger side?
The actual hood of the car.
So like right in the middle of the.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, sorry, I didn't. I came here. I didn't go to the area where you were, so I didn't see anything. I mean, I really appreciate you being completely honest with me, and I think you are being very honest with me. Is there anything that you? I know you said you didn't see where she was coming from. Do you remember? You were talking about a light. Was it like a traffic light that you were at?
It was a traffic light. I was like two. I wasn't able to make it to the traffic light because I had hit it before.
Okay.
Like where I was coming from, like Florida State has a little sign that saying people walking and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't no sign nearby like where she was at. That's why I said I don't understand.
So like there's one that's got a little pedestrian bridge over it. And it's past that.
It'd be flashing like the little sign they have for sidewalks in College Town.
Yeah.
It'd be flashing like
amber signs, the yellow signs.
Yeah. It's
past that.
I just passed that, and then once I got like a little bit further up, and there's a light up there. That's where I seen her like, when she.
Was it the light right there by CVS?
No, there's no CVS right now. Okay. It's like I don't know the roads, but the way I was coming from, you can see it's a little bit of stores like or whatever that is they got on each side. And you coming up and you going towards the like stadium.
Okay. So basically, if you would have kept going straight, you would have seen the stadium right in front of you.
Yeah. You turn left, and that's where you back at the road again or whatever.
Okay. Just because, I mean, you said, I know you talked about your phone not really having any kind of service or it's sporadic, so it works sometimes.
Oh, it's on. It's on.
But
Yeah, it works. It's just certain times it'll be in and off. Literally said no service up there at the top of the screen.
Were you looking at your phone or anything like that at the time?
I didn't even know. That's what I'm saying. I had to go to my friend's house to me call down and look for my phone to do anything.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even know what happened. I was confused. All I know is my windshield messed up. I know I hit somebody, and I just messed up. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I could do. I couldn't do nothing. All I know, my mom telling me is calm down, drink some water, calm down, drink some water. All I could do.
Mm-hmm.
I was too shocked. I don't even know where my phone was at the moment. I think, as a matter of fact, I believe he either brought it in to me or I'm still looking for it. I don't even know.
Okay. So just to give like a rundown from what I understand that what you're saying, you're coming from your house, which was on Viking Way, right? Headed towards Jordan's house, which is off of Holton Liberty Street area, or Bennigan's, sorry, the place at Max Box. So you're headed down what I assume to be Pensacola Street.
No, it was Tennessee Street. I know that for sure.
Tennessee?
When I was coming down, it was Tennessee Street. Because, like, you know how passing TMH and you go up to that light? I turned right and I went down. That's how I got into Florida State. Actually got into Florida State at Tennessee line.
Tennessee,
past, like, Leon.
Yeah.
Going all the way down that way.
Okay.
And then I made like I want to say a left, and that's how I got around the Florida State area.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember driving like? Do you remember the big Holiday Inn, or it's like a round Sheridan hotel, real tall hotel?
Over there by the Sonic and stuff.
Yeah, there's a gas station somewhere right there.
It was.
So did you come down?
Though, but it was over there that way, but it was before that.
But you remember being on Tennessee Street?
Yeah.
Okay. Then did you turn down Macomb? Does that sound right? Macomb or Railroad? I'm sorry. I know that the streets are confusing. I don't know who came up with the streets here, but I find myself getting lost from time to time too. All right, so down Tennessee, and then you come down to you said the Civic Center there, around there,
sure. And
it's the one-way road.
It's
two lanes.
Yeah, two lanes. But it's a one-way road going straight down.
Okay, and then eventually it heads out towards the football stadium.
Yes.
Okay. So you drive down the roadway. You said there's some traffic.
Yeah.
But would you describe it as like heavy traffic?
But I could see the two cars in front of me. That's why I said traffic. Cause I knew there's two cars on the left of me and there's cars coming behind me.
Yeah. So there's two cars and they're in the left lane. You said.
Yes.
Okay. Visors down. You listen to the radio or anything?
You know, my radio was broke, so it was not running the radio in here. So.
Okay. And after the accident, first thing is just to continue to go.
I slowed down to stop, but then I kept panicking. Like I just had to go. I didn't know where the phone was. Anything I needed to stop, just stay still. So I went to the closest place I could think of.
Which was Jordan's.
Yes.
And then you called mom.
Yes.
And mom came to you.
My uncle picked her up and she came to me. Yes.
Okay. Did she
come? The car that I drive, like it's in her name, but it's for me. If that makes sense.
Okay. So she came all the way from Viking.
Yes.
Okay. Josh, you have any other questions? No. Okay. Do you have any questions for me? I know you're still going through a bunch of stuff in your head. And it's a traumatic event, but you'll get through it, okay? But like I said, I appreciate you being honest with us about what happened, your side of the story. Because like I said, when we get some of these accident scenes, we don't get the full story unless we hear everybody's side. Makes sense? Okay. We're gonna step out for a second. You need anything else?
Oh, sorry.
You go to the bathroom or anything? We'll leave this door open. You need anything, you holler for me or Josh, okay?
Yes, sir.
One last thing, if you haven't already, go and check out Ellie's Corner. It is located on the corner of West Pensacola and Lorene Street.
Still doing all right? Okay. Do you still have your phone? Where did you leave that in the car? Or? Miss Williams has it. Okay. Just trying to remember what you were saying. I know there was the hill there. Visors down, sun coming at you, like towards the through the windshield there. After you said that she ran into the car, what happened exactly after she hit the car?
I freaked out, man. She hit that, and I had to go straight to my homeboy house to call her.
Okay. Did you stop or anything? I said you slowed down.
Yeah, I slowed down for a little bit. Cause I was gonna stop, but I was too freaked out to even stop. Right, my stomach, everything started. My body started feeling weird.
Yeah.
I didn't stop. I was too nervous, too scared. Anything. It in my head. Right? I couldn't start. I said, I can't. I'm starting to look.
Okay. So you slowed down, but you slowed down because you were going to stop. But you did, and you went to Jordan's house to make your phone call. Do you remember anything about what she was wearing or anything like that?
That's what I'm saying. I didn't see her coming. That's where she came from. I don't even know what color she's like. I mean, got to you. Okay. I didn't see nothing. I didn't know that. My windshield was broke. I slowed down. I shouldn't stop. But I kept thinking.
Could you still see out of that? You said the windshield was broke. Could you still see out of it?
The sun was still on my face, so I was just dropping my feeling like this, trying
to see around the cracks. Was it like a real big crack?
Yeah.
Okay. When I signed this earlier, I wrote the wrong. I'm just bringing to your attention. I wrote the wrong year. I wrote it up as 23, but it's actually 24. Just want to show you that I corrected it to 24. And I signed it there. Okay. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Give me a couple more minutes. I'm gonna run downstairs. If you need anything, just holler at Josh right there. And if you need bathroom or anything like that, okay?